Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, once again joined by Noah Rubin. Noah, welcome back. How was your holiday, and how's the last week been?
It's crazy. It's only been, I guess, a week or maybe like a week and a half since. No, I guess it's been 2 weeks since I was able to do one of these Q&As. But yeah, having my daughter born a week and a half ago it's been a wild, I think, 11 days now.
Yeah.
Super fun, such a blessing, but it's been an adjustment. It's been not very much sleep, but the past few days getting back into the swing of keeping up with the NBA has been nice, while still having a blessing of having 3 people in the house. So it's great.
Yeah. Congrats to you and your wife.
Thank you, Ref.
It's always good to have those blessings in our lives for sure. But
absolutely,
in terms of the NBA, I don't know. This week is going to be a pretty busy one because next week, obviously, you have the NBA Cup quarterfinals and then onward in that event. And there aren't as many games for teams to play next week. So got a lot of teams playing 4 games this week. In terms of like over the weekend, or anything that's kind of stood out to you from a fantasy standpoint?
Yeah, I think I had Zach Edey as kind of a guy that's like I don't remember if I said just like a late round target. He's a player that I was able to get in quite a few leagues and was able to patiently wait for him to start playing, and now it's been very, very worth it early on. I'm not like the highest on Zach Edey. There are definitely a lot of people that are much higher on him than I am, but the results the past few days have been really, really fun. Specifically the 32.17 rebound, 5 block game against the Kings without Domantas Sabonis. Like, Maxime Reynaud and Drew Eubanks isn't exactly the fortified paint defense to slow down a guy like Zach Edey. The 19 rebounds against the Clippers, 21 and 15 against the Pelicans. Like, again, with the Clippers, you have Zubats there, so that's impressive. The Pelicans, they haven't been great in the paint this year, so I'm still not sold on Zach Edey being this, face of the franchise that some people are naming him to be, but I think he's going to be really, really good for the rest of the season in fantasy basketball and probably have a nice run here.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that face of the franchise talk is more Ja Morant fatigue than anything. I do have my concerns about Edey's ceiling, but I think he's got a pretty safe floor. And maybe I'm wrong about his ceiling given what he's done over the last week too. So it's been fun to watch him absolutely dominate the glass. Now, if you're a Jaren Jackson Jr. manager, you'd like to see a few of those rebounds trickle his way. But I think his high for a season average in rebounds is like 6.5 or something like that. So you're not expecting him to be elite in that regard. So you're not really too surprised that Edey is taking up all those boards. But he's looked really good. He's kept that team afloat. I think Cam Spencer has given them good minutes off the bench. Vince Williams Jr. can be a bit of a mixed bag with the turnovers and the scoring, but the assists, he's had some really good assist nights too. So some fun aspects of that Grizzlies team to watch, even as we wait for Ja Morant to return.
Yeah, for sure. Will be interesting to see, I guess, how they approach things, because Jaren Jackson Jr. is definitely going to have a decent amount of trade value if they want to approach that. I mean, they're 9-12 right now, 1-3 in a row. They're probably not looking to be sellers by any means, but teams are going to be, I would assume, have a level of interest in Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson. And if you have Zach Edey, you have Cedric Howard, you have your first round pick this year, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just quicker to rebuild, and like that's just like my mentality is, things aren't going well, let's just trade everyone. Maybe I do that too quickly, but it's something that they could do if they chose.
Yeah, this is a year to consider a hard reset given the projected draft class. So I certainly don't blame you at all for entertaining that possibility. But let's get into some questions, and we'll stick with Memphis to start here. Evelyn, thanks for tuning in. Onyeka Okongwu or Zach Edey in head-to-head?
I mean, my gut reaction is both. I think that you have to keep both, and like be really excited about having both of them, because Kristaps Porzingis, like, he starts when he plays, but Okongwu has still gotten a decent amount of minutes when he's coming off the bench. But then Porzingis has missed quite a few games, and he's having to miss games because of illnesses, and that was a thing last year in Boston as well. So I hope that he's able to be healthy and play basketball, but he hasn't been available, and Okongwu's been able to play 30-plus minutes consistently and been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would give the slight edge to Edie because there isn't that factor of, hey, he's not going to start sometimes, and Edie's been insane. Though Okongwu's hitting threes and Zach Edey isn't. He's getting more steals, more assists. So it could depend on categories as well, unless this would be for a points league. But both those guys I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, this, like you said, this is very much a categories question. If you need like the rebounding, field goal percentage, and blocks, you're probably going to lean towards Edey here. But I do like Okongwu's ceiling. And what I would also say is you brought up the Porzingis factor. We don't know on a game-to-game basis if he's going to be healthy. And you think Okongwu, he's still going to get you high 20s in minutes, even if he's coming off the bench. So I'm not too concerned about that. I think I would lean Okongwu slightly, but I think it's really close. All right, another Zach Edey question from Rizzy McGuire. Contemplating trading Jaren Jackson Jr. for Edey in a dynasty league. Am I crazy?
I wouldn't. I think that I'd rather have Jaren Jackson. But I don't think you're crazy for thinking about it. I think it's showing kind of the gap has closed. They're like Edey's playing incredibly well. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s value is down this year. I still would lean Jaren Jackson, but maybe that's me just being hesitant to make the change. And Edey has surpassed him. Again, I'm sticking with leaning Jaren Jackson, but it's definitely a conversation.
Yeah, you're not crazy at all for thinking about it. I need to pull up their ages for this one. I think Edey's 24, if I'm not mistaken. No, he'll be 24 in May, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is already 26. He turned 26 in September. If that has any bearing on the thoughts about this trade in a dynasty league, I think I would go. I don't think I would do it either, but I think it's something you can definitely consider. Because I feel like what Jackson brings to the table overall, especially the last 2 seasons, you may be able to find that in like a draft prospect down the line. Now, in terms of Edey, we don't see too many players of his build succeeding in the NBA, so maybe that gives him a slight edge in terms of dynasty. But I like Noah, I don't think you're crazy at all for considering this.
And maybe if you do want to make this deal, you can make it you're trading Jaren Jackson Jr. and getting Zach Edey plus something, plus another young player, plus a draft pick or two to try and even out the value. Because I don't hate the idea of trading Jaren Jackson and getting Zach Edey back. I just don't think that that's like a 1-for-1 swap that you should feel good about.
Yeah. Maybe if you can get draft capital back in addition to Edey, that would make me feel even better about a trade. So. All right, Adam, welcome back. Do you guys think Nickeil Alexander-Walker will still be must roster in 10 teams when Trey gets back? 9-cat head-to-head.
I think 10 teams, I'd feel less confident. Definitely like in 12. Because I'm starting to wonder, watching the games and keeping up with everything, like, when Trae Young gets back, I assume Dyson Daniels starts, but is Nickeil Alexander playing more minutes than him? Is he part of the closing lineup? Are they, as games are coming down the stretch, doing like offensive and defensive subs between Trae and Dyson Daniels? Just because if you can have these incredible defensive lineups out there, you might as well. So I'm interested to see how this looks. I probably would lean towards rostering him, but we'll have to see. I can't imagine that he goes down to like 20 minutes per game. I assume he still plays a ton.
Yeah.
So I would lean towards yes, but it's hard to say at this point. We'll see a few games in after Trae Young returns, which it's still going to be at least another week and a half, I believe.
Yeah. He's been like top 70 in 9-cat over the past month. So, and their defense has been a lot better, with Trae out of the lineup. Unfortunately, that's going to be viewed as an indictment of him as opposed to what the guys who are currently playing have done. But it's something you have to seriously consider. So, man, I didn't think you would be someone to hold on to in 10-teamers, but I'm starting to come around to it just because of his impact on that team.
And this is small sample size, but First game of the season, Trae Young was playing. Nickeil Alexander-Walker played 28 minutes. Next 2 games he started. I believe that was Dyson Daniels that was out, or they had a couple players out, so he's able to start, played around 30 minutes, then played 30 minutes back coming off the bench with, I think, everyone healthy. And then the game that Trae Young got hurt, 32 minutes, then he's been starting since then. So I don't see why he couldn't continue to hover around 30 minutes. Like, he's going to have a value hit, but I still think he's definitely a 12-team guy and potentially a 10-team guy.
Yeah. He's similar to Okongwu in terms of the minutes. Like, he's going to have to play. So I can definitely see why you would want to stash him in a 10-teamer. Hold on to him, I should say. All right. Danny White Jokic Wolf.
White Jokic is crazy.
Yeah. That's wild, man. But he passes the eye test and is a permanent beast. When do you think he'll start? He's dunked on people 2 straight games.
I think he'll start when's the trade deadline? February
6th.
6th? Okay.
Yeah.
So February 7th, I think he'll probably start. I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, could he start over Noah Clowney, who's playing really well? He's not going to start over Nick Claxton. So unless there is an injury that opens up a starting spot for him, but he's definitely going to keep getting more and more minutes. They invested a first-round pick. He's a really talented offensive player. They need to see what they have in him this year. Because it is definitely who of these 5 guys we just drafted in the first round are going to be part of our like the future of this franchise. I definitely see him as like a silly season hero kind of guy that could win leagues potentially. I don't know. Depends on what Brooklyn ends up doing at the trade deadline. If they move Nick Claxton, while his value is, I'd say, higher than it's ever been. Like, he's been incredible this year. Or they could choose to keep him around and not play him much on the stretch. Either way, I think he's going to be really good to finish the year. But right now, it's probably going to be too inconsistent to roster him in standard leagues. But we'll see. Maybe they'll just pivot and just force feed him minutes.
Yeah, I would say around the trade deadline, too. I think it's too early to pull the plug on Claxton. I think he would be the one that would be more likely to sit. But I feel like you kind of know what you're getting from him at this stage in his career. In terms of Clowney, you can argue there's a little bit more to be untapped, so to speak. So maybe he's safer from that shutdown than Claxton. So I'd say around February. At a minimum, I kind of feel like Danny Wolf's trips to Long Island to play in the G League may be done for a bit.
Right.
Just because of how well he's played. So I'd still have some patience. I don't know if he's someone I'd have rostered in a 12-team league, but deeper formats. If you want to get out ahead of the rush now, I wouldn't blame you at all. Okay, Wemby, good afternoon to you. In 9-cat, would you drop Vince Williams for Ryan Nembhard? And next question's from Clark Kent. He asked about Ryan Nembhard for the rest of the season, so might as well hit both of those now.
I don't think I'm really wanting to drop Vince Williams, but I'm definitely wanting to add Ryan Nembhard after what he just did, getting moved into the starting lineup. Maybe you do, because I don't want to drop Vince Williams, but Ryan Nembhard just did what he did, and Vince Williams had a couple really nice assist games, but look at it, their last game, 27 minutes, 2.7 assists.
His percentages are brutal too.
They are. They are. Yeah, I don't love dropping Vince Williams, but I think I'd have to say I'd rather have Ryan Nembhard. I know it's only been 1 game, but I think, like, if you want him on your team, you're probably going to have to add him as soon as possible, because there's going to be a mad dash to try and add this guy who, I guess it was his 3rd start, 28 and 10, 35 minutes. Like, you're probably going to have to make a tough cut to add him if you want him.
And in terms of Vince Williams, despite averaging almost 10 assists per game over the last week, Basketball Monster has him outside of the top 200. And the reason for that, he's shooting 29% from the field and 50% from the foul line, while also averaging 3.7 turnovers per game. So I think I would make that drop. I have my questions about how Jason Kidd handles the point guard rotation right now. Like, it feels like it's something that could change on a whim. But right now, I would certainly do this. I think that's my concern about Nembhard's rest of season value, is how the rotation gets handled. Do we see D'Angelo Russell ever again in terms of rotation minutes? Brandon Williams has been kind of inconsistent. He's had his moments, but the playmaking really hasn't been there, in my opinion. So then you've got the Kyrie factor. I think looking at the standings, there are 3 games in the loss column out of the 10 spot in the West. Not insurmountable, but you do wonder at a certain point if Dallas is going to have to entertain possibilities of holding Kyrie out the rest of the season. He got hurt in March, I want to say. So that's a late season return, I would assume. And, maybe that preserves Nembhard for the rest of the season. We'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about this or if I talked about it somewhere else within the last 2 weeks because it's been an absolute blur.
Yeah.
But Nico Harrison not being there anymore, it makes you say there's no playoff mandate to prove that he's right. So there's no reason to force Kyrie Irving to play if he's not 110% healthy and this team is not in the middle of competing for a playing spot. If they're a handful of games out and Kyrie Irving is 90%, 95%, why would you force him to play when you can just add another lottery pick, still have Kyrie Irving healthy next year, and have a chance of getting a top 3 pick to add with Cooper Flagg? That would be insane for the next 15 years. So I think there's definitely a real scenario where we don't see Kyrie Irving play this season. That's not what I expected preseason because of Nico Harrison being there, but that could allow Ryan Nembhard to start the majority of the rest of the season. Now, when Brandon Williams moved into the starting lineup, it kind of seemed hey, maybe this guy could start the rest of the season. So we could still see that change. Wouldn't shock me at all. But for right now, I think that Ryan Nembhard is a guy you have to add.
Yeah, that's the other factor, the lottery pick. This is the last one they'll control until 2030. So it would probably be in their best interest to let some of those vets sit. In the case of Kyrie, maybe just let him take the full season recover. But we'll see how they handle that because sometimes that fan disappointment can lead to you trying to compete when you probably shouldn't. So I don't know. All right, Belligerent would like to know, Alsar Thompson's had a slow start. Is he still a hold?
I'm not ready to give up on Ausar Thompson, but he definitely hasn't been anywhere near what I thought he would be. He did start off the year fairly well, missed a handful of games. It's been a little quieter recently, specifically. I don't know. I'm looking at the numbers here, and the free throw percentage is bad, but we knew that was going to be bad. He doesn't hit threes. We knew that. Scoring's been fine. I was expecting more from rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, but not a significant leap from what he's doing. I still think he's a hold, but I'm a little disappointed by what's happened so far. Yeah,
his situation's far different than his twin brothers because you got Cade Cunningham who commands a high usage with the basketball in his hands. So that's the tough thing for him. I think that's where he misses out on the assist that you would kind of hope would be there. So I think he's a hold, but I do think you have to start considering alternatives, maybe even trading him. It can be a risky move, but at least you stand to get some type of value back instead of just dropping him and hoping that whoever you pick up works out. So, all right. Wemby would like to know, would you trade Ryan Kalkbrenner for Davion Mitchell? And 9Cat, also I received an offer of Anthony Davis for Giddey. Is that worth it? 9Cat 12 team.
I know because Davion Mitchell's been playing pretty well recently. I think I'd still lean Kalkbrenner. Let me see what he's been doing because Davion Mitchell had 16 and 12 last night. Kalkbrenner has been really quiet recently. I didn't realize how quiet he had been. I'd still probably rather have Kalkbrenner. I guess the cop-out answer here is, do you need the assists or do you need the field goal percentage and blocks? Because Davion Mitchell, it's two very, very different stat sets. And then you receive Anthony Davis for Josh Giddey. I just don't think I'd be really
Yeah.
wanting to trade for Anthony Davis right now. It's
Mm-mm.
great that he's back, and it probably is a good time to trade him if you have him.
It's not a
I
trade.
just,
It's not a good time to acquire him, though.
yeah, especially because, I mean, I've been lower on Josh Giddey than everyone else, but like
Yeah.
he has been on the floor. Like he's been able to play, and he's been a really nice source of points, rebounds, and assists. And some of the other stuff has been there. Sometimes not been there. Others. I think I'd probably just rather hold on to Josh Giddey at this point.
Yeah, I would make the trade for Davion Mitchell. I do have questions about the playing time once everyone's healthy on the perimeter, but his defense should keep him on the floor. So I would make that trade. I would not trade for Anthony Davis. Now, I have Anthony Davis on a couple of my teams, and I regret that, even though I didn't use like a high draft pick to get him. But I certainly would not trade him for Josh Giddey. I would not trade Josh Giddey to get him. So, yeah. All right. Clark Kent has another rest of season question. This time, Cedric Coward. What do we think about him?
I mean, I guess recently he's also been a little bit quieter since moving into the starting lineup. It's really interesting how pretty much he's struggled, but still think he's a guy to roster as long as he is starting. Like the minutes have actually been lower pretty much as a starter, maybe not exactly lower, but a little bit lower some games. Actually, recently it looks like it's ticked up a little bit. I would be holding him rest of season unless they show that he's getting bumped out of the rotation. We've seen what he can do in big minutes. It's just been a little bit of a rough patch, which that's not uncommon for a rookie, especially one that played 6 games of basketball last season and the year before that. I think it was last year at Washington State, year before that at Eastern Washington. So it's quite a leap for him to have even had the level of success he's had so far. So if I have him, I'm just holding him.
Yeah, just hold him. I don't know if he'll be – I certainly don't think he'll be as good as he was to like the first few weeks of the season, but I think he'll be better than he has been recently and more impactful, I should say. So I'd hold on to him. I think you look at the ADP, you're kind of betting on late round value for him as it is. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the recent drop. I kind of feel like, water finds its level, so to speak. So I think he'll be all right. Okay. Adam would like to know, Shaden Sharp is available on waivers. Crazy, but I might drop Mark Williams for him. No luck trading him for a guard, and I have too many centers. Are you guys high on Sharp this season? 10-team, 9-cap. Let's see. Here's his full roster right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Drew, Keontae George, Quickly, Nikhil, Keegan Murray, Keyshawn George, Brandon Miller, Wemby, Jokic, Duran, Edie, Mark Williams, and OG on the wire here, on the injury.
Are you able to move Drew Holiday to the IR as well? Because he's been out a little while, right?
Yeah, I think that would be a good question. Like if you only have one IR spot, then I can see why you have to consider making that move. But if you have 2, I agree with no. I think you'd probably want to do that.
Because I'm looking at Shaden Sharp recently, because obviously started the year off a little bit slow, but was playing a lot, then had some big scoring nights, missed a few games, and now he's been hovering around 21, 22 minutes. I'm assuming that is a unofficial, because I don't remember saying anything about it, minutes restriction, and that as he plays more games, they'll get him back to playing his, I guess, kind of usual workload. Let's see who's been playing. Yeah, it's City Sissoko starting over him. So I assume that he's going to get back in the starting lineup. I don't know if I really want to drop Mark Williams for him just straight up, but with this squad in a 10-team league,
it's just one IR too. I kind of assume that. He's got Wemby hurt too, so yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't feel good about dropping Mark Williams for Shaden Sharp, but maybe you do have to do it just because you do have 4 other very, very good center options. Like this has to have been like an auction draft. There's no way that you have Wemby and Jokic if not. So yeah, I don't feel good about it, but maybe you do have to do it.
Yeah. It's a 10-teamer as well, so I kind of wonder, probably be able to get him back at some point, or someone of decent quality if there were a need for another big down the line. So I think you can do that. I'd probably wait until Sharp was playing his regular minutes before doing it, though. At least see a game where he's doing that instead of coming off the bench. So, okay, our favorite time, the injury questions. When do you anticipate Wemby, Jalen Green, and Ja Morant to be back? Now, I know in terms of Ja, I think he's supposed to be reevaluated later this week. So we'll have a better idea about him then. Wemby's probably going to be another week or so before he's reevaluated. And based on the timeline, Jalen Green might not be reevaluated till like the mid to later portion of this month. So
yeah, the 4 to 6 month or 4 to 6 week reevaluation for Jalen Green would be between December 9th and 23rd.
Okay.
And that's just a reevaluation. We just saw Trae Young with the 4-week reevaluation. And then it's like, okay, like we'll check again in 2 weeks. So the answer for all of these is we have no idea. But Wemby, it was the original report was a few weeks. So I think it's been a little over 2. So hopefully, if I had to guess as far as when they're returning, I would say Wemby first, then Ja, then Jalen Green. But as far as, I mean, there's not too much data here for us to really say when. Yeah, Ja should be getting reevaluated any day now because that original report was 2 weeks, and that was, I believe, yesterday was 2 weeks. So
yeah. Okay. Sam Lombardo would like to know, would you drop Cam Johnson to grab Ryan Nembhard, 10-team ESPN points?
Johnson's been playing better. Cam's been. I don't think that I would drop Cam Johnson. I think if you asked me this beginning of the season, I probably, well, actually, we were trying to say be patient. And then there was probably like a week or two stretch in there where it was like, yes, safe to drop him. And now it's probably to the point where, because like we were talking about earlier, it seems like Ryan Nembhard has a really good case to start at point guard for the rest of the season. But if we rewind 3 weeks, 4 weeks, Brandon Williams had a really good case to start at point guard for the rest of the season. And if, opening night, Cooper Flagg had a really good case to start at point guard for the rest of the season. And then D'Angelo Russell had a case. So I just don't think that anything's set in stone there. And I'd rather have the safely starting rest of season Cam Johnson option, especially like if we look, he's playing better. His minutes have also gone up.
Yeah.
Like he's been over, I think since that one game that he missed, at least 32 minutes in every single game. Before that, the only game he reached 32 minutes was opening night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm much happier with what he's been doing recently. I don't think I'm dropping him.
Yeah. I would not drop him. Definitely with Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon out too. That's another reason to hold on to him. So, to your point, 35.4 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks. I think that's more than enough time for him to kind of figure some things out. And he's been better of late too. So I would not drop Cam Johnson for Ryan Nembhard. All right, Ryan, I would like to know, if I were to trade away Zion, what would be a good return? ESPN Points League averaging 35 fantasy points per game, but I think he will average 40 as he averaged 44 last season.
I mean, he could average 50, but if he's only going to play a couple games at like one game at a time or just not play, like he just got added back to, he was not on the original injury report for tonight's game, but now he's questionable with a groin injury.
Yes.
So he's always really good when he's on the floor. He's never able to consistently be on the floor. When he is, it's like, wow, this is great. Like now it's finally he's healthy, and then something else pops up. So I genuinely hope that he's able to be on the floor the rest of the season, that they lose every game, but that he's on the floor for the rest of the season. But I don't want them to lose because he's not healthy. I want them to be a completely healthy team and lose every single night. But I think that he could average. What's a good return? Honestly, I'd rather have someone that's averaging 30 to 35 fantasy points that's playing every single night than somebody who can score 40 to 45, but hey, he's gonna miss games from time to time, or like he's gonna have these long stretches of absences, because especially in a head-to-head league, like you're running the risk of it's a high risk, high reward of, hey, maybe he's just really healthy for my 3-week playoff stretch, but also, hey, maybe he's just not, and he's just
Yeah.
not there, and you lose because of it. So it's too risky. I'd rather have the safer, more consistent production.
Yeah. For new viewers, Noah's an Atlanta Hawks fan, and they
Yes.
practically control the Pelicans' 2026 first round pick. That's why he would like to see the Pelicans lose
Yes.
as much as often as
Yeah,
humanly possible this
They
year.
have the worst record in the NBA right now. That's crazy. They're
Jeez.
3-18. They because
Yeah,
Washington.
they are.
So now they're 3-16. So they're 2 losses ahead of Washington. So
Right.
if the lottery plays out, no movement,
Yeah.
should have the number 1 pick.
I'm gonna be so pissed if that happens. All
It's
right.
better than OKC getting it.
Yeah. All right. Can we stash? I think we talked about this earlier, Danny Wolf. I think it depends on your league size. You're in a 14 team or larger, you certainly can stash them. I think 12, I would hold off for a little bit, just because you're probably going to need that spot for someone who's going to be more consistently productive right now.
Yeah, I think I don't think about stashing players in December. Maybe other people do. I don't usually do that until we get closer, maybe early February, late January, when it's like, okay, like maybe a trade at the deadline could really open something up. Let me get out ahead of this by a little bit. But I think you're wasting a roster spot if you're trying to potentially predict something changing over 2 months in advance.
Yeah. It's not like he's backing up really old veterans either. Obviously we talked about Claxton earlier. He's still relatively young, even though we kind of know what we're going to get from him. So if you were backing up someone in like their mid-30s or so, then I'd have a bit more confidence in adding him now. But that's not the case. So I think I would hold off for the time being. All right. Ace Bailey or Kevin Porter Jr. for the rest of the season?
Kevin Porter Jr. went off last night and then got hurt again. But it was back spasms. I don't think that's something that should be keeping him out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd rather have Kevin Porter Jr. I feel good about rostering both of them rest of the season, but Ace Bailey is going to have some rookie struggles, whereas Kevin Porter Jr., it seems like when he's played, he's been the number 2 guy behind Giannis. I would much rather have it be Ryan Rollins as the number 2 guy, but it seems like when Kevin Porter Jr. has played, he's been kind of that guy that Ryan Rollins hasn't been able, or has been when Kevin Porter Jr. is not out there. It hasn't been enough usage for both of them yet. We'll see if that can change as they play more games together, but I'd rather have Kevin Porter Jr. We also just haven't seen much of him yet just because of the injuries.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's able to stay healthier.
Yeah, I'll take Porter. He's going to play. They're going to try everything in their power to win just to keep Giannis satisfied. So I think he's in a good spot in terms of the opportunities if he can contribute to that. And we've seen him put up good numbers when healthy. That's the key for him, to stay healthy at this point. So I think I would take Kevin Porter Jr. as well. All right. Ryan, at the back end of my roster, I'm assuming that's Ryan Nemhard, Dante DiVincenzo, Shaden Sharp, Jay Huff, all averaging around 30 fantasy points. If I try to do a 2-for-1 for them, what type of player should I try to get? 35 fantasy points per game looks like he's looking for there.
Well, if we're talking about which ones I'd be looking to trade, I think I'd feel most, and whether it's Andrew or Ryan, I'd rather trade the Nemhard and Huff if I'm trying to do a 2-for-1. I just don't feel good about Indiana's center situation, and there will be games where one or both of them play well. Like we had, it was against Chicago the other night. Both of them had really good games, both Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson. Just don't feel super confident that that's going to be consistent. Would love to trade them while I can. The only thing is, if you're trading Jay Huff and a Nemhard, I would assume is that Andrew or Ryan? Like around 30 fantasy points. I would assume Andrew Nemhard is a little higher than that, but maybe he's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyways, probably whoever you're able to get, maybe around 35 points per game, maybe, but that's probably not going to be somebody that's dramatically better than the other two. So it may not feel like a great trade. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm in agreement. Pretty much whichever member of the Nemhard family you're considering trading, I would trade them, and I would trade Jay Huff. I'd hold on to Dante and Shaden just because I think they have pretty high ceilings. So, yeah. All right. Evelyn sends her congratulations.
Well, thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah. All right. And Adam is back. I'm thinking of trading Trey and Dice. Well,
I think this
I'm
was just
thinking if
more
Trey, this
information
is
on the
from earlier.
previous.
Yeah. From Nikhil. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, Gigatronics would like for us to rank these 4 players for the rest of the season: Russell Westbrook, Tobias Harris, Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Is Russell Westbrook 1?
I think I would have him 3.
Okay.
I go Porter, then Tobias, then Westbrook, and Kalkbrenner 4th.
Tobias Harris is the exact opposite of Russell Westbrook in that he is just going to be very consistently solid, whereas Russell Westbrook's going to have some really, really fun nights and some really, really bad nights. I think I'll go Kevin Porter. I'll go Russ 2. Maybe I'll go Kalkbrenner 3, Tobias 4. Tobias Harris will be solid. He's not going to get you too many defensive stats. He'll have some okay rebounding nights. Pretty consistent scoring / shooting. Nothing great, nothing terrible. Well, actually, he was not very good against the Hawks yesterday, but for the most part, pretty consistent. And I'd rather have Kalkbrenner, hoping he can get back to what he was doing earlier on this season and getting less of what we have gotten recently.
Yeah. My issue with him is that he's backed up by a relatively young center in Musa Diabate. So they've been wanting to play him good minutes when he's on. So that's why I had him 4th. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I think he'll still play plenty. It's just a matter of how close to 30 minutes will he get on a nightly basis. That's the biggest question for Kalkbrenner, I think. All right, Chad, welcome back, sir. How much risk is there in Keegan Murray purely from a talent around him standpoint down the stretch?
The Kings are weird. I don't really know what things are going to look like. Are they going to be sellers? Are they going to be just standing pat?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is clear. If Doug Christie is still coaching the Kings for the rest of the season, not insinuating anything like they should or that they might, but just like assuming he is still the head coach for the rest of the season, Keegan Murray is going to play a ton of minutes. Like Tom Thibodeau can't even reach this level of running his players' knees into the ground. Like Keegan Murray, he's played 6 games so far. The one he came off the bench was at 33 minutes. Since then, at least 36 minutes in every game. And he had the game against the Jazz where he played almost 45 minutes.
Yeah.
No overtime. There was another game he played 44 minutes, and that was an overtime game. Just 45 minutes, no overtime. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, that's a lot of time out on the floor. So I'm not super concerned about, like, I guess it's valid to say we don't really know what this Kings roster is going to look like after the trade deadline. There's definitely a chance that they make moves. There's also a chance that they can't really make moves because nobody wants to take on some of these contracts. Keegan Murray is going to be playing a ton of minutes, and I feel confident in him for the rest of the season because of that.
Yeah. I mean, he's the one who got the contract extension, so it makes sense. He should play plenty. I don't know about 45 out of a possible 48 minutes. That's probably a bit much, but, I really like what he brings to the table, and I think his ceiling is going to be really high. Only question, as Noah alluded to, what type of value can he get for those other guys in trades? Will it be enough to make moves, or you kind of have to cut your losses? Because I don't think you're going to get elite value for any of those players via trade at this point. But it's very much a case of Keegan Murray's the star. Who do you put with him to build that team for the future? Or at least it should be. All right, Clint, he sends his congratulations as well. What are our thoughts on Derek Queen? His playing time and performance have been very up and down lately.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a really talented player, and when he's out on the floor, he's a very productive player in fantasy basketball. The fit questions of him next to Ignacy or him next to Zion or just everyone kind of in that front court, like how they all fit together, I'm not super confident in. I don't think it works super well, which is why we've seen them lose a lot of basketball games.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird that they're not force feeding him more minutes. And it is, maybe it's James Borrego trying to be a veteran head coach for a rookie and like help eliminate mistakes, have lessons be learned. Hey, we're not just going to force feed you minutes. If you're doing something wrong, we're going to take you out of the game, things like that. But when he's on the floor and getting minutes, he is productive. So he's a player that I want to hold on to. And bare minimum, I think that they will force feed him minutes the final 2 months of the season. Obviously, they don't have their own pick to hopefully be able to, or I guess kind of improve that lottery odds by losing games. But at that point, I think they just kind of have to say, hey, our first round pick for next year, we already used that to get Derek Queen. So let's get this guy as many minutes as possible.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, and Clint also asked, what are our thoughts on Matas Buzelis for the rest of the season? Very good game last night. However, Kobe White was out, and then Kevin Huerter was injured during the game. I don't know. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Buzelis is an interesting one for me. So
yeah. I have my questions about his ceiling, especially with that rotation. But I think he can offer a solid floor in his role as a starter at this point. So I don't think he's a top 100 player, but I don't think he'll be very far off of that either.
Yeah, I mean, he can shoot. It hasn't really been consistent this year. The block shots have really been the most consistent thing for him. I know a lot of people are expecting this like star level leap from him this year. I was not super optimistic about that happening. And it hasn't really been great. And I think it's
percentages have been poor.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point that Kobe White was out and Kevin Huerter got hurt because then I think, Buzelis can be good, but he isn't the number 2 or 3 scoring option on this team. So like he'll continue to be, I'd say, a rosterable player in standard leagues and with the upside to occasionally have much better games.
Yeah. Well, this should be a fun one. What do the Clippers do? Which answer do you want? Do you want the Clippers answer or the Oklahoma City answer? Because I kind of feel like Oklahoma City fans would like for them to continue on their current path since they hold the rights to the Clippers' first round pick. The Clippers, they need to compete because they don't have a first round pick. There's no reason for them not to try to compete. I just don't know if they're capable of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's really, I've spent a little bit of time thinking about like, is there anything the Clippers can do? Like, is the league just kind of not necessarily totally screwed, but like, is OKC going to get, potentially 2 or 3 lottery picks, potentially a top 3 pick this year and just add a superstar to a team filled with stars? Like, it's possible. Like, honestly, the solution is that they just need to win more games. But like,
how?
I didn't think they'd be this bad.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, well, Kawhi did miss time, but I think he's played in their last 5 games and they are on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Harden's still there. Zubats is still there. Like, obviously, if you're pushing the chips in on Bradley Beal in 2025, like, it shouldn't be shocking that they got bit by that. But this team is, in my mind, still not as bad as their record has been. As far as what they should do, honestly, they probably should try and this is maybe, again, just my mentality, but like, accept that you don't have your first round pick, but like try and get some picks and trade stars. And yes, everyone's going to be mad that OKC gets a really good lottery pick, but like, you need to get some level of value back from these guys before they just continue to get older. But looking back, maybe not in the moment, but pretty like within a couple of years after the Paul George SGA trade, it was like, wow, the Clippers are gonna get old, and OKC has their picks for years where their players are going to be old. Like in my mind, like a rule should be if you're trading for like picks for a star, you have to make sure that star is still going to be in their prime when those picks are being made. Like you can't be giving up unprotected firsts for years when Kawhi is going to be, I mean, the wrong side of 35.
Yeah.
But they've just continued to double down, trade whatever they can to bring in older veteran players, and it hasn't worked very well. It's finally catching up to them where they're not even a competitive team, which is pretty surprising. But I mean, you're just kind of screwed for a few years unless you can make a really good later round pick. Free agents don't, like superstar free agents don't sign with teams anymore. So I don't know. It's really just seeming like OKC is going to get a really, really good pick this year. So we just got to hope that the lottery doesn't help them out anymore, because it's going to get really scary. I mean, OKC already does have a really good chance to like run the league for the next decade. So adding in potentially a top 3 pick in this class, like I'm like, okay, like what does my team even do? Does it matter what my team does? Like we're just playing for second here. It's like, great, we got a top 3 pick. Oh wait, OKC's picking ahead of us. Like, so what do we do? I don't know. It's interesting.
If you're going to take the approach of F them picks, you better get it right. Because if you don't, this is what could potentially happen to your franchise. All right, I traded Pritchard and Grimes for Amen Thompson and Levin Cat. Free throws made in double doubles. Was that a bad move?
I don't think that was bad. I think that's basically
bad. I probably wouldn't do it, but I don't think it was bad.
I think that's kind of what it takes to do a 2-for-1 deal, though. It's like you're trading away 2 guys who have been good so far. And Pritchard starting, Grimes has basically been playing starters minutes off the bench for a player whose value is lower right now in Amen Thompson. So I don't hate that. I think it's pretty close to fair. I wouldn't feel like, hey, you definitely won this trade, but I don't feel bad about doing that.
Yeah. All right, Alec would like to know, he traded Colin Gillespie for Jaden McDaniels and 12-team 9-cat a few days ago. It's good sell high play on my part, and he's hoping that McDaniels bounces back after his recent struggles.
I think
Gillespie
that
looks
Jaden,
for real, man.
Right. It's like, but then they bumped him out of the starting lineup as soon as Grayson Allen came back. So like he's still going to play a decent amount of minutes, but Jaden McDaniels is starting, and then he's locked in as a starter. So I still think like good process there. And Jaden McDaniels hopefully will get back to what he was doing early on this season, because he is really good. I think it's good process here. Hopefully it works out in your favor.
Yeah, I think eventually he'll figure some things out offensively. And the defense will be solid too. So I don't think you made a mistake by making this trade. Given what we've seen from McDaniels in past seasons, he'll hit a rough patch, but then he'll get back on track. I think we're going to see that again this year. Okay. Actually, I think this was a conversation they were having in the chat, but Edie, Miles Turner, Porzingis, Kalkbrenner, Buzelis, and Keyshawn George. I was thinking trading Kalkbrenner for Davion Mitchell to get the assist and defensive stats. Yeah, I think that's from earlier. So
yeah.
Okay. We're going to go ahead to Melakata. Good day to you as well. Should I look into Walter Clayton Jr. or Isaiah Collier, 16-team category league?
Haven't really seen too much from either of them, just because it's been basically all Keontae George.
Yeah.
I'd say no. I'm not super interested in either of them. I mean, Keontae George is just playing too well.
I'd agree with that completely. Like if this were last year's Keontae George, then I would consider Collier for sure. But this year's version looks like he's capable of getting his own offense and running a team. So I would not look into either one of these guys right now. Maybe there comes a point later in the season, but not right now. No. Okay, Silent Sid. I currently have Kevin Porter Jr. and Garland in IL spots. I need to cut 2 of the following to activate them. Tumani Kamara, AJ Mitchell, Cam Johnson, Jay Huff, Nimash Keta, VJ Edgecombe, and Alsar Thompson. Who should go?
Gosh, that's Jay Huff, easy cut for me.
Yeah.
Goodness, I don't want to drop any of the other guys. What's Tumani been doing?
Don't think he's been doing it great. Well,
no.
39% from the field, just inside the top 150 over the last 2 weeks.
So I don't really want to cut AJ Mitchell because it really hasn't mattered who's available. He's been a pretty good source of offense. Cam Johnson's playing too well for me to cut him. Keita's also been so good all season. Don't want to drop him. To me, it's between Tumani, VJ Edgecombe, and Asar. And I'm trying to make sure it's not like my prior biases of being really high on Asar to make me say don't cut him.
Mm-hmm.
VJ Edgecombe obviously started really well, but has definitely quieted down. I don't know. Would you agree with it being between those 3 for the final cut?
I think I would go Huff and Mitchell for my 2 cuts here.
Okay.
I wouldn't feel good about cutting Mitchell, but I think what Kamara can bring to the table defensively, Alsar as well, I would want to hold on to that if I'm adding 2 guys who are pretty much offense first in Porter and Garland. So that's where I kind of sit on that.
That's a good way to look at it. Gosh. Yeah, I feel confident in Jay Huff. I don't feel confident in a second cut.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Edgecombe's going to get the minutes. Asar hasn't really gotten the minutes, but has been starting. Maybe it's Asar for me, which I hate to say because I did really like him. And I still think he can figure things out. But if I'm just trying to think logically and unbiasedly, then maybe it is Asar.
Yeah.
But Raph's more confident in his answer. So I would just.
I just feel like when you're at you have those 2 guys in IL spots, you can take the hit offensively and having Alsar.
Yeah.
So that's why I would hold on to him.
That's good logic.
My logic isn't always great, but All right, Daniel, welcome back, and more congratulations for Noah. Well deserved. Yep. And Jay Hang. Hi, Mike Kawhi and Darius Garland for Mikal Bridges and Shaden Sharp 9-cat. I guess should he offer those 2?
I don't think I would. Obviously, it's a lot of injury question marks between Kawhi and Darius Garland, but I feel like you'd be selling. Like if we're just talking about like 1-for-1s here,
you might be giving up a little too much.
Yeah, I think you're selling too low on Darius Garland to just be getting back Shaden Sharp. I mean, Mikal Bridges is by far the healthiest between these 3 or this group of 4, which would be nice. But Kawhi's been so good when he's on the floor. I don't know. I think you'd be selling a little bit too low here on Kawhi and Darius Garland. I think you could probably get maybe it's Mikal and somebody else better than Shaden Sharp, or maybe it's just a different trade in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge Mikal Bridges fan in fantasy. That goes beyond the Knicks fandom. But if you can have him on your roster, knock on wood, but that would be great from an availability standpoint and the productivity, especially the defensive stats. But Kawhi and Garland for Bridges and Sharp feels like a little too high in terms of what you'd be giving up to get those 2. So maybe either if you want to move those 2 because the injury concerns, aim for someone a bit higher than Shaden Sharp on this other person's roster. That's where I would start. Oh, wait, let me go back. Can we talk Yegor Gioman and Noah Clowney potential for the rest of the season?
I think it's going to be sometimes good, sometimes bad, but just inconsistent production until February. And then it goes full silly season mode and they get a ton of minutes Like, I think both of them kind of follow that script. I think Clowney will be a little bit more consistent prior to that, though.
The way you started that reminded me of like one of my favorite quotes from Gennaro Gattuso. I'm not going to say it because there's some profanity involved. It's like sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe, but but yeah, we're not going to get into that. But yeah, I see that. They're going to have their ups and downs. But I think they can both be really valuable pieces for the rest of the season, especially fantasy playoff time, because they should play plenty on that roster. Yeah, need power forward eligible players, and we have Keegan Murray and OG Anunoby. Would it be okay to drop Keyshawn George for Noah Clowney? Thinking it makes sense, especially if I drop Mark Williams for Shaden Sharp, 10-team 9-cat. This goes back to his team from earlier.
I think everyone needs to stop playing fantasy basketball that has specific position eligibility. I think everyone needs to be guards, forwards, centers, as opposed to point guard, shooting guard. I'm in a couple of leagues like that, specifically an ESPN points league where a bunch of players only have like one position of eligibility. And it's like I'm having to leave guys on the bench because players that actually play a specific position at times just aren't eligible for it. And it just drives me crazy, I think. But that's my little rant here. I don't love the idea of dropping Keyshawn George for Noah Clowney. I understand that if you need to try and get like to fill actual spots in your lineup, like why you would need someone else that plays that position that could get it. But I think Keyshawn George, even if it's been inconsistent and a little bit more rough recently, I think he's not a player that I'm dropping just to add in a power forward eligible player, especially in a 10-team league.
Yeah, let's see here. Just want to pull up his position stats. Okay, yeah, cleaning the glass only has him playing 1% of his minutes at power forward, so it feels like in a position adjustment from whatever website you're playing on probably isn't coming anytime soon, but I don't think I would want to drop Keyshawn George either. I like the potential a little too much to make that move. So, and yeah, it is ESPN. So who knows? I know Yahoo tends to update their positions, every so often. So, man, that's tough. I don't think I would want to do it, but.
And that wasn't me saying that I think Keyshawn George should have power forward eligibility. That's just me saying that, hey, that dude plays forward and you should be able to start.
You should be able to just have 4. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, I don't know.
All right, got a couple minutes left, so we're going to kind of speed through these things. TJ McConnell, general soreness or a hamstring?
I would assume that. Wait, what? I don't get the question.
Yeah, I think it's more general soreness, and when you have the record that the Pacers do, they're going to find reasons to put some veterans on the bench a little longer than you'd probably anticipate. So.
Is he? Because I'm seeing Basketball Monster has him listed as
just having soreness. Yeah,
he played 6 minutes yesterday. Did he? Okay.
Nothing was announced either. That was the weird.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask. That is really weird.
Yeah.
Oh wait, let's see. Carlisle said he played back to back and then felt sore after the 2 games. Just didn't look himself after playing, so there's no injury. I think that I don't know if it's like lineup shenanigans on December 1st for the Pacers, especially because they just aren't really winning games anyway. But no, it doesn't seem like it's any sort of injury. Like I don't think that Rick Carlisle can come out and say like there is no injury and then there be an injury. Like I think that there would be crackdown from the league.
Yeah. All right. Unfortunately, we're already at our time limit, but we'll close with a dynasty question. And Chad wants to know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but is Kama Malawach a hold or sell in dynasty? Obviously, Mark Williams isn't the pillar of health, but more importantly, Oso Ighodaro is valued in performing.
He's a hold. Selling him would be selling low. I still think he's a really talented center. They just don't feel like he's ready to be playing big minutes for them. Like they're more competitive than anyone else really thought they would be. And having a rookie center out there just isn't gonna help them. So I'm holding because it might take a couple of years, but he's going to be still in my mind a really good center. And like this is saying, like Mark Williams is not the epitome of health. Ozogadaro is like playing well and they value him, and I think he's a valuable piece as well. But at the end of the day, like if Malawach ends up being better than them, like they're not going to stand in his way. So we just got to be patient here.
Agreed. And I lied. They want to trade Jalen Johnson for Noah Rubin.
Wait, what? I'd rather have Jalen Johnson. No question about it.
All right, guys. That's enough from us. Thanks again for tuning in. Asked some really good questions. We will be back on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and hope you guys enjoy the games the next few nights. Take care.